myself here. Testing. Is that good? Yeah? All right. Apologies for my hair not being perfect. When after I put my suit on thing, I put a Darth Vader mask on my head and took some pictures. But now I'm fine. Okay. Georg Horst Machulla was born in Glatz, Deutschland, which is now Klotz, Poland, on Thursday, August 7th, 1941. I too was born on a Thursday on April 19th, 1984. To quote Douglas Adams' Arthur Dent's character, I could never get the hang of Thursdays, and I still don't. This was during the time when the Nazis were fighting a fierce battle with the 19-year-old Soviet Union. Just days after my father's birth, Germany advanced on Leningrad. Around this time of my father's birth, the population of Germany was 69 million people. Roughly 8 million German civilians and soldiers were killed in that war. I am fortunate that my father, his mother, and grandmother were not among them. They fled on foot for months, finally arriving in Frankfurt, Germany. I cannot imagine what it would be like spending months on foot through a war-torn nation, especially as a child. An innocent life born of love, into the middle of unspeakable madness. The devastation of World War II took a toll on every living European, along with many Americans. In total, the bloodshed on all sides took the lives of over 60 million human beings. My father obtained passage as a refugee to the United States in 1955 through the Lutheran Church. It took my father and grandmother several weeks on a transport vessel named the USS General W.C. Langfit to arrive here in the United States. During the late 1940s and early 1950s, this vessel was used to transport military and civilians from all around the world. In 1946, it brought back thousands of veterans from the Philippines. In 1949, it took over 800 displaced Europeans to Melbourne, Australia. It was reacquired by the Navy in March 1950 for assignment as an overseas transport. Between November 24, 1954 and April 30th, 1957, she made 32 voyages from New York to Bremenhaven, Germany, and back, carrying European refugees to the United States under the Refugee Relief Act. When I'm done with this talk, you will see pictures through my dad's life, which will be, I guess, there. And there'll be music overhead, too. Among them, you will see the transport ship and him on that ship. The ship was eventually scrapped in Texas in 1983. Once they arrived through Ellis Island to the United States, they traveled west, taking the train to the other side of the nation, finally arriving in Monrovia, California. Woo. My father graduated at the high school I graduated from. I graduated 43 years later, though our time in high school differed. For him, as a freshman, 14 years old, never could get this whole page-turning thing right. For Altadena Dairy, getting up 3 to 4 a.m. to do a morning shift. After this morning shift, he got ready for school. And for me, I just woke up at 7-something and had to go to school, so that's how it was a little different for us. Though he didn't speak English when he arrived to pick it up, he picked it up on his way, graduating from my high school, still learning the language. So there was no excuse for me in high school having known the language quite well by then. He married my mother in 1965, and in 1984, like Kal-El crashing his rocket from Krypton into the Smallville farm and being found by Jonathan and Martha Kent, my parents found me. This gift of love has given me my life. As with most people, the memories I cherish most of my childhood. Then again, who wouldn't cherish the carefree days and wonderment and never knowing what tomorrow may bring? For us now, most of our lives are built on daily, tedious routine. Nothing very memorable about that. I'm lucky to have my father there for me, as his father wasn't there for most of his life. This is true for too many sons who live without a father figure in their lives, though some have managed to overcome those incredible obstacles, like the president. President Obama's father left when he was 3 years old, and he only saw him once after that when he was 10. I was fortunate to have one who took me and my brother everywhere. whether it was a crazy family vacation somewhere in Big Bear or Morro Bay, or taking a miniature train ride in Travel Town on Griffith Park, or to see in person the LA Sports Arena, the wrestling I watched on TV. The first time I went to a wrestling show, as I can recall, was in 1987, when at the LA Sports Arena, I was 3 years old and vaguely remember the main event, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase battling the Macho Man, Randy Savage. I may even have seen Andre the Giant live at that same event, though I don't remember. I wish my memory of being 3 years old was better. I think that if I was in the presence of a 7'4", 560-pound giant, I would remember. Through the years, we went to see more wrestling shows in the 90s, and one of my favorite days of my life, when my dad and grandmother took me to the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim on March 31st, 1996, to witness WrestleMania 12 in person. There was only 18,000 people there, but it was great. Look it up. Going through the hallway in my room, I see an old picture of me playing with my AWA wrestling figures in the ring. My first thought looking back now is, I never should have opened those. It's worth some nice bucks now if I left them in mint condition. Thus, I can never truly be considered a geek because I opened up my toys and I played with them. If I never opened any of those classic 80s toys and left them in package, I may be rich right now. But I'll take a happy childhood over being bored with toys remaining in packages any day. When I ask you to think in your mind, what is the first song you remember hearing? That you really remember knowing as a kid, what comes to mind? Anything? It's a rhetorical question, you don't have to answer out loud. For me, the earliest musical memory I have, maybe around the age of 3, could be 4, was this black disc with a purple sleeve inside. It went into this crazy machine, and out of the speakers, music came out. My earliest song memory is hearing Frank Sinatra's High Hopes. I'll never forget that record player we had in the living room. It lit up a world of things I've never heard or seen before. I saw this black disc shape, a circle, get put onto this table, and then a long arm with a needle at the end of it found its way to the edges of the black disc. My dad would always smile when I heard these songs. It's what he grew up with. My life was turned upside down when I was introduced to rock and roll. He lived through the change of a generation from the 1950s to the 60s into the 70s and 80s. Though we can all admit now in hindsight the way our hair looked in the 80s was god-awful, including myself as a baby. Actually, just think about the 80s in general and, alrighty. Especially our clothes, it's so bright and, alrighty. I was always putting 45s on the record player. For the young ones listening to this, there are a couple that I've seen, earlier here or on YouTube when I post this talk, a record player is a device that plays music using a black disc known as a record. You see, kids, okay, never mind. Just enjoy your iPods and don't worry about how we did things back in the day. And feel free to ask your parents what VHS tapes were. You'll get a kick out of that. This love of music I got from my dad has guided me all my life, even now dealing with this. Where do I take this pain of mine? I run, but it stays right by my side. I posted a comment on a video of Metallica's Until It Sleeps, saying how grateful it is people can share their pain in song and give the gift through music to deal with, and dealing with personal pain and loss. It resonated with people apparently now having over 70 thumbs up and being on the first page of comments. In response, I mentioned that he did pass a week after I wrote that comment, adding, quote, "I'm still so glad we have music here to deal with things we can't express fully in any other way and have a positive outlet in bands and songs. It's what helped me, and also that we're all family here, together as one. When I surf here on YouTube, looking at videos to rock out to, I feel the energy of every one of you who were there too at some point." There are no words to describe this process. Grief cannot be contained to simplistic thoughts or feelings. I lost the most caring person I know, someone who has helped me and took my friends to and from school in elementary, middle, and high school. Also, when my neighbor was in a band to and from Hollywood and back, whether it was the Whisky, Roxy, Troubadour, I think the Viper Room too, once or twice. He was there to help out whenever he could, along with many other trips we had here and there. But as we mourn, we should also be grateful for every moment that we did have with everyone in our lives. To quote Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. And as Steve Jobs said, remembering that you are going to die is the best way to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. This is our one shot of life that we know of, and every moment of it is precious. An evolutionary biologist once said, "We are going to die, and that makes us the lucky ones." Most people are never going to die because they are never going to be born. The potential people who could have been in my place, but who will in fact never see the light of day, outnumber the sand grains of Sahara. We know this because the set of possible people allowed by our DNA so massively outnumbers the set of actual people. So be grateful you are here. The possibility of breathing this moment here on this planet out of the trillions of stars and planets and solar systems and galaxies is so great you've already won the lottery. Here we are in this moment. Out of the millions of potential sperm, you're the one that got through. Even if you don't swim, you can always say in the beginning, I was the fastest swimmer. My dad would have wanted me to share this message with you, to appreciate and love life, to be grateful of every moment you live and to those around you. To quote another song, to add to the theme of the greatness of music and how others say things better than we can try to, Mike Portnoy, the ex-drummer of Dream Theater, wrote the lyrics to this song for his dying father. Hearing it, I think back to my childhood and just being grateful for every moment we shared. Quote, "These were the best of times. I'll miss these days. Your spirit lit my life each day. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for all the smiles, all the unconditional love that carried me for miles. But most of all, thank you for my life. My heart is bleeding bad, but I'll be okay. Your spirit guides my life each day. I can take comfort that his pain has ended. I think of a picture in Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five till the words written on a gravestone. Everything was beautiful and nothing hurt. So it goes. Thank you."